Alright, so here we are. Let's just start by explaining what I've got to paint. Now, I think I've shown you guys already before, but if I haven't, the first things I'll be starting to paint is this guy here, which came in the starter magazine for Warhammer 40K. So they give you this just one little miniature to get started with, and this will be the very first one I do very soon. And once I get done with that guy and give it a test run, I'm going to move on to this over here, which is the Intercessors Paint Set, which comes with 3 dudes and 6 different paints, which is a pretty nice value, and it's good because it gives me a bunch of paints to get started with, but we're going to talk more about paint in a few moments. So, to get started, I went to my local Games Workshop store, because there was one not far from me, and I bought, number one, obviously you got to have a bunch of different brushes. So I got myself 4 brushes to get started with. The shopkeep was pretty intent on giving me a lot more than this. He was kind of aggressive with his stuff he was handing me, and yeah, that was not pleasant, but starting with these 4 from Games Workshop, and that includes a dry brush, this large base brush, a medium shade brush, and another small layer brush. So those are cool, but Warhammer brushes from the official Games Workshop are pretty expensive. They're usually like 8 a piece. That's a little absurd. I think they're good brushes. They look like they're good quality, but I think that was a lot more money than I wanted to spend. So that pretty much was the day where I realized this is going to get really expensive if I don't start figuring out what to do early on. So put those over here. Also at Games Workshop, I ended up buying some Sprue Clippers, but their official Sprue Clippers were like $33, and that's kind of insane. So I went looking around online, and I got these guys, which I've seen in a few different videos. I think Trovarian is who used these, and I decided to pick them up from his affiliate page. So these are just basic flush cutters, and I think these were like $4 or $5 off of Amazon. They should do the job just fine, and yeah, again, way cheaper. I've saved a lot of money going through third party instead of buying Games Workshop stuff. Put those over here. One thing I did end up buying from Games Workshop, though, is this over here, which is a mold line cutter from Citadel. And I really don't want to use an X-Acto knife. I don't really feel too comfortable using those things, especially as a beginner. So I figured this would actually solve a lot of the problems I'd have. And again, a little more affordable, but still a lot of money. This was $17.50 plus tax, so it is a little expensive, but it seems like it's actually a pretty useful tool overall, and I'll get a lot of use out of it. So I'm fine spending that much for this guy. Hopefully we'll do another video just about him once I actually get started. So from that point, again, I started looking at a lot of different videos, trying to get some more ideas of what I need, and so this is the stuff that I've decided that I do need, that I ordered off Amazon. Starting with, of course, number one, you got to have some super glue. This is Loctite super glue. Again, there was a particular YouTuber, I'm going to link him in the description. He recommended this brand as well as a bunch of the other things I purchased, so I've decided to give this a try. So most of the miniatures I have are snapped together, but I've heard it's best to use the glue on them, so that's what we're going to do. We also have, again from Loctite, some of this blue Fun Tack. Theoretically, I will use this when I do sub-assemblies. We'll see if I remember to actually use it or not, but hey, this tack is pretty useful in general, so I'm fine with that. We also bought, finally, some of these needle files. This is from Testers. I got a nice pack of different sizes, so this will again help me kind of sand down some lines. I don't really want to use an X-Acto blade, so I'm going to give these guys a try, in theory. We'll see if I actually ever use them, but they're here for when I'm ready to give them a shot. And of course, you got to have this. This is some brush cleaner, Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver. I've seen a lot of people use this, and again, from my background in painting, I know you need this if you want to keep your brushes alive and healthy. So I went ahead and splurged on this. It should last me a pretty good amount of time. When you start painting this small, especially with acrylics, your brushes will get destroyed pretty quickly. So I figured I might as well just go ahead and get this right away and start using it once I start painting. So I also went to a model store because I realized, these brushes look okay, but I feel like I wanted to get something a little bit better and some stuff for some more detail painting. So I went to a model store and I bought these guys here. This is from Taclon, I believe is the name of the company. I got 4 really small brushes, and compared to, again, like this is the smallest one I got at Games Workshop that they told me to get, which is just the 1 layer brush. These are actually even smaller, and I think they're better for detail, and I think that's going to be great for doing all sorts of little tiny things in there, which, with Warhammer pieces, there's a lot of little tiny stuff going on, so I think that's going to be some good times. And of course, I also bought a thing of disposable palette paper. This is from Royal Langnickel Essentials. I was thinking about going with the wet palette, but I don't know if I'm ready to make that investment just yet. I've heard people say it's a really good thing for beginners to start, and you'll regret it if you don't get it early on, but until I know I actually want to do this to a crazy amount, and I have space to really go that crazy, I decided the disposable palettes are probably the easiest thing to get started with. So, besides this stuff here, I also have more paints. Now, as we mentioned, with the Intercessors Paint Set, this already comes with 6 paints, but my whole Warhammer thing started at a comic book store that was closing, and I ended up getting a really great deal on some paints, and I'll do a little cutaway here to show you all of them. So I started out buying, I think, like 6 or 7 paints, and from there, of course, once I went to the Games Workshop, the dude was like, oh, you need this, you need this, you need this, and lo and behold, I've got like over 20 paints now. So, yeah, way to go.
And here is a glimpse at the paints that I have. So, I've got a white scar, a Abaddon black, depending how you want to say it. Some people say Abaddon, some say Abaddon, whatever. I've got some lead belcher. Moving on, I've got a whole bunch of blues, because I plan to do a lot of blue guys, including Space Marines and some Space Wolves. So here is Rune Fang Steel, some Elatok Blue, got some Eshin Gray over here, which we use for Space Wolves, Storm Fang, I got some Hoeth Blue, bizarre names that these things have, we have a Cronus Blue, and Ethereum Blue, some Fang base coat. Moving on, I've got some stuff for some Blood Angels that I'll be doing at some point, and some Ushabti Bone, which will go with that white scar to make some parchment and other things. But anyway, speaking of the Blood Angels, there's some Astorath Red, some Rise of Rust, some Wild Rider Red, and then also finally Mephiston Red. And then towards the back, I've got some Xandri Dust, some Retributor Armor, I've got some Waystone Green that I'll use for eyes, pretty sure. And then rounding out the paints is this Listerian Undergrowth. And then finally, I got a few shades. So I have a Drakenhof Nightshade, a Reikland Flesh Shade, and a Nuln Oil, non-glossy. So we'll try these out. Again, it's a lot of paints for someone who's just getting started, and it's pretty overwhelming. Let's consider it here. So here's all the tops just kind of piled in together. It's a lot of stuff. It's pretty overwhelming to start with, but these are my starter paints along with whatever's in the Intercessors Paint Set.
So we've got a whole bunch of paints, and that should definitely get us through the Intercessors and maybe some other guys that you'll see soon in the future. But yeah, this is what I have to start with. And of course I also have some things for water and some other stuff that is just general painting stuff to have. So this is my starting kit of things. If you have any recommendations for stuff I should have and don't have yet, let me know in the description below, because I am a total noob coming into this, and I'd like to know what I need to get started and get started good. So, I am Matthew from Nerd News Today. This is the stuff I've got to start painting, which means there's nothing left to do but start painting. So, we'll see you guys next time when, theoretically, I will actually paint some models finally. See you guys then.